You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Chris in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, TV shows, games, books, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 672, where at least one of us attended San Diego Comic-Con. That's Chris, who's with me tonight. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am good. I'm happy to be home, but I do miss the chaos that is San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
But I am happy to be home.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're back. And since one of us attended, we thought we'd go ahead and do a recap show of everything that was at least relevant to us, some of the bigger things. So we'll mostly primarily talk about Star Wars, but we've got a little bit of time set aside to talk about some really big things, you know, like Spaceballs and the Marvel stuff and DC stuff. But that'll be towards the end of the show. But I thought it'd be really fun just to kind of get, Chris's thoughts and opinions on his first experience at San Diego Comic-Con. It's a big deal. So we'll get into all that here in just a second. But before we do, Chris, how about some shout outs to some very special people?
Yes, we'd like to give a big shout out to our Patreon members. First, we'll give a shout out to Jamie Gregory, who is our newest Patreon member, and he joined us on the This Is the Way tier. And then those that are now part of the Tribe tier is Krista Martinelli, Will I Am, my girl Paisley, I Got a Brad Feeling, Rita Reborn, Jacob H., Josh C., Uncle Leon, Sharkman Dan, Alejandro, Jackson, Abbott, Daz Davies, Risk Bayless, Danny P., Mike Borda, Dante, a.k.a. Utini, and Kat, a.k.a. Vader's Girl. And then our Delusions of Grandeur tier, these four individuals are at the highest level. It's now This is Rod Racing, who's my guy, who actually was with me in San Diego.
Oh, nice.
Rob G., Steve C., and my girl Vanessa. Thank you so much for your support of the Cantina Cast.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining this live stream. If you're watching it live, if you're watching it already recorded, thank you so much for the download or for the audio download as well if you're listening to this on the podcast. And we've got a lot of stuff to get to. We're going to just jump right into the news just because we've got a ton of stuff to cover. But stay tuned for a lot more content now, especially with Chris back. We've got a lot of things planned coming up. I just want to quickly plug that Legacy by Madeline Rue is out officially as of Tuesday. That is the latest novel that takes place right after The Last Jedi. I've done a spoiler-free review on that. You can go find that on our YouTube channel or in our podcast feed if you're interested. And I can't recommend the book enough. You should pick it up, especially if you're a fan of Leia, if you're a fan of Rey, if you're a fan of all the events that happen after The Last Jedi or the events that happen as a result of The Last Jedi and want to know how all that kind of ties into repairing the crystal. Go check out that book. If it's the audiobook or buy it, read it. It's a great book. So that is out right now, but we've got a lot more content again coming down the road here. Okay, so let's get into San Diego Comic-Con 2026. So again, I've never been to it. It's something that I've always watched primarily for. There used to be a time when, you know, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, like a lot of people had big hands in that. And it feels like, you know, Star Wars as it's continued to grow has kind of pulled out of that. So there's, you know, not some really big reveals, if you per se, like in terms of movies and TV shows these days. They kind of reserve that for Celebration and D23, but it still feels like it is kind of the flagship for Marvel and DC to make their bigger announcements. And so it's something that I keep very close and watch over anytime it's on, but I've never been there, never been a part of that experience. And I know that word is used a lot. It is an experience, much like Celebration is an experience. And so I thought maybe we could just kind of start with, you know, what was it like for you going to San Diego Comic-Con for the first time? Were you overwhelmed, underwhelmed? Was it chaotic? And then I want to kind of know, after you've had a chance to kind of talk about that, like, how does that compare to like Star Wars Celebration? Are they similar? You know, what things are similar, what things are different, that sort of thing. Before we get into all that, and while you talk, I'm going to pull up some of the pictures that I'll just kind of rerunning through, and you can feel free to chime in and comment on those. But you've got a lot of great pictures here that you took, and this is not all of them, but we're just going to share some of them. So take it away, Chris. Let us know how what was that like, man?
So, you know, going to this event, San Diego Comic-Con, has been on my bucket list for years. I just really hadn't had a motivation to actually follow through and do it, with the exception of this year, or I should say, at the end of last year, where I had a couple of friends who were like, "Hey, it was organized by that guy right there in the Roosevelt shirt, Joel. We know him,
Joel,
we
yep.
know and love him, yeah."
Yep.
And then, of course, our guy now. This is Rod Racing behind him. Then we
I
have
see him.
Alan, Brian, myself, Rachel, and Jason. They're like, "Hey, why don't we go?" And for the three of us, our three of us out of that group, myself, Brian, and Alan, this is the first time that we went to Comic-Con.
Wow. For all of you.
So they were like, okay, let's plan. And yeah, exactly. Let's go to Comic-Con and let's have a good time. So we went and went through Hotel Apocalypse, and we all made it, and we all ended up there. And then, of course, I had some other friends that I met up there. You know, Johnny and his girlfriend, Fan Force Austin. They're out there.
Oh yeah,
so
Fan Force Austin. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Then there's David Lozano from Star Wars Stuff Podcast, who I've become real good friends with. We hung out a whole lot. Of course, the Dog Tour, Haley Barr, we hung out a good amount of time. And then also Ted Kalunga from Countdown City Geeks out of San Antonio. It was pretty much all of us hanging out at various times during San Diego Comic-Con and the various after parties. Now,
yeah, so you had some folks there to hang out with.
Absolutely, and that's I'll get to that in a minute, but that did make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So how I felt going into this, before I even stepped foot on the plane to come out there, I was excited and nervous at the same time, because everyone has heard the horror stories about San Diego Comic-Con and like the long lines and how overcrowded it is, how it's almost impossible to get into Hall H. So I was just kind of like, okay, I'm excited, but I'm kind of nervous because, what if this is really overwhelming? Now, I'm used to Star Wars Celebration, but, this is a different animal, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But once I got into preview night, which was on Wednesday night, I kind of got my bearings. And then, of course, having veterans like, Joel, who's been to Comic-Con many times. And then there is another gentleman who is actually a mod on the unofficial Star Wars Celebration Discord server, who goes by the name of Ewok Musk, who I've known for years.
Yeah.
He was there, and they were able to give me some pointers on what to do, not to mention Johnny. Johnny has been...
Oh, yeah.
Almost every year that I've known him, he's gone to
Wow.
San Diego Comic-Con. So they all gave me pointers, and I kind of leaned on their experience. And after I was able to like cut my teeth on preview night, I wasn't as overwhelmed, and I was ready to go that first full day, which was that Thursday.
Yeah.
Now, was it
so you got
crowded?
a good lay of the land. You had
yes.
people to lean on to when you need questions, that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yes. So I go there, and yes, it is packed. There are a lot of people. Yes, it is disorganized / organized chaos.
Mhm.
The whole thing.
Wow.
Is if you've been to a huge Star Wars Celebration, for example.
Yeah.
It takes them like a day or two to get their bearings, to make sure that everyone knows the right information. So we're getting some information from some people, and then other information. There's a picture of David and I outside the Lanterns training experience, which I didn't get to do, but he did. I'm jealous. He got a ring. I didn't.
Yeah.
Again, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
So it took them a couple of days to get their bearings, just like Celebration. It's just at a larger scale. So all of that is true. However, what I enjoyed the most was just the camaraderie of everyone that was there. No one was really, I mean, there were exceptions to what I was just saying, but we'll talk about that in a little later. But for the most part, if they were there to enjoy Comic-Con, whether they were cosplaying or they were there for certain content or they wanted to see certain pavilions, those attendees were great, and we got along, and we were able to work together tremendously.
Okay.
Where it got kind of hairy are those that are there to get the exclusives. And of course, the exclusives that the various vendors provide,
Oh yeah,
are very coveted. Yeah, they're very coveted. And
and by
some
coveted, you
people
mean
will do
pricey
whatever
once they
it
go on
takes.
the market.
For some people do collect them legitimately.
Yeah, no, for
But
sure.
there are some people that yes, they go there for the sole purpose of scooping up as many exclusives as they can and then throwing them on eBay.
Wow.
But either way, if you're there for one or the other, tensions can get kind of high when you're running to get in these lines to make sure that you're closest to the front. So I did see a couple of mini kerfuffles, I guess if you want to call it that, over exclusives. But for the most part, the event was it was a big it was a party with 130,000 of our closest friends. That's what it was in reality.
Yeah.
As far as like the content that was in the exhibit hall, I mean, the big ones were DC, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. You've seen a couple of pictures here, and more will come through the slideshow of what they had showing at the Lucasfilm Pavilion, and it was really centered around the Mandalorian and Grogu.
We saw some pictures earlier of that.
Yeah, they actually had a big prop of the Anzellan starship with Anzellans actually moving inside and doing stuff, and it was lighting up. It was real cool to see. They had the Din Djarin's costume. They had the Grogu. They had the little walker that Din Djarin commandeers in the movie. And then they had like the production, like when you watch episodes of The Mandalorian, at the end over the credits they show like the what are those things called where they draw like a scene.
You talking about the concept art?
Concept art. They had the concept art all along the back wall of that pavilion.
Nice.
And then surrounding the pavilion was a lot of Star Wars / Lucasfilm licensees. We're talking Her Universe. We're talking Roosevelt's. We're talking, I forgot a company that sells socks, a company that sells athletic rings, a company that sells like water bottles.
Yeah, these are all this is like all the like close third party vendors.
Right, they're licensees, more or less, right?
Yeah, right.
And then also the Lucas Museum was in that pavilion area as well.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing thing to see. And then of course you look at right across is the Marvel Pavilion, and it was all about Doomsday.
Oh, yeah.
It was all about Doomsday. They had the costumes. They had the Laverian, I think that's what it's called, witch that they kind of switched out every day, and then they had the Doom costume, and then all this other stuff around X-Men and Sentinels and stuff like that in that pavilion. It was real cool to see. And then there was the DC Pavilion, which was essentially it was kind of a hodgepodge. It didn't really have a theme like with Lucasfilm, Mandalorian, and Grogu, Marvel with Doomsday. It focused on Superman, Supergirl, Batman, and lanterns. And from the Batman perspective, it focused on the latest release of the Lego Batman game. I don't remember what it's exactly called, but they had like a small part of the pavilion where you could actually come and play that game. They had the other part that was around Superman and Supergirl. It was, it looked like the Fortress of Solitude, and you could actually sign up for the Superman experience, which I think is in Vegas, and actually sign up there to go do that experience in Vegas. And then also from the Batman perspective, they had posters advertising their new animated series Nightfall, which for me, I know people have their favorite Batman stories. My favorite Batman story of all time is the Nightfall saga. Mm-hmm. That is, obviously, if you haven't read the comics, that is where Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, gets his back broken by Bane.
Yeah.
And it's a story of him trying to come back. And I've always loved that story. I think I have like 2 copies of the trade paperback and all of the individual comics somewhere. So I was stoked to see that. And then, of course, they focused on lanterns. But when it comes to lanterns, really, they had like a lantern costume. They had the actual, lantern to charge your ring. And then everything revolved around merch, which makes sense because, they're really pushing lanterns hard. And I was really excited to see all of that. Yeah. Those are the three pavilions that I focused off. But of course, there was Funko, there was Lego, which Lego had a nice diorama of like Tatooine, like full size. It was really cool.
Nice.
That also shows up in the picture.
Yeah.
These are pictures of the DC Pavilion. And all of that was real cool. But of course, you had, again, Funko, you had Random House, you had Lego, you had Hasbro.
Yeah.
You had Blink 182 / Pac-Man, which I didn't even know that was a thing. You had Mattel. All of those things were there, and that's really it was. And I think that's not even maybe a quarter of what was all in that exhibit hall. I know I didn't have an opportunity to go see everything.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, is whether or not you felt like you got all of it, or you kind of left with FOMO for some things.
I don't think I left with FOMO.
Yeah.
There were some like cosplays that I missed. Like there was a digital looking Mewtwo that was really cool. And then there were some other like DC Superman type cosplays that I missed, but I didn't really have FOMO. So that's the exhibit hall. Now let's focus on the panels, which, if you know me and how I feel about Star Wars Celebration, panels are my jam. That's why I go to, well, it's a close second to going to Celebration to hang out with my friends, hang out with my family.
Yeah.
That's what I go to Celebration for. But a close second is for the content that comes out in the panels. This right here, I don't know if you guys know this. This is Trogdor the Burninator. He was made famous from a web comic that was that debuted in the late 90s, early 2000s called Homestar Runner. It's still up. So if you want to go to homestarrunner.com, you can see Trogdor the Burninator burning the sad peasant. That's who
you.
I
You're
was.
The
I'm the sad peasant. Yeah. When I saw this, I had to do it because I love that cartoon. And then here's a picture of that's Joe Caroni, all the way to the left. He is a licensed Lucasfilm Star Wars artist. And of course, we have Haley Barr, myself, and then David Lozano from Countdown City Geeks and Star Wars Stuff podcast.
Team Rocket. Boo. Just kidding.
So anyway, next. Okay. So as I was saying, this was a poster that they were giving away the first day at the Lucasfilm, and this is amazing. Awesome. It's on cardstock, and there's little Easter eggs all around this picture. You get to catch them all. It's on good cardstock. I was able to keep it pretty flat coming back home, so I'm going to get a nice frame and put this up. This is amazing, and I'm glad I was able to pick them up because they only had like, I think, 1,000, and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, I see a lot of them. There's like a Porg. There's a blast helmet up there. Han Solo's dice. Sabbath card right there. Blue Milk up there.
Yep.
Stormtrooper helmet. What is that? Yeah, but there's a ton of stuff. It looks like Saul Guerrera's equipment are back there as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's, and I know there's more Easter eggs in there.
Yeah.
Okay, but back to the panels. So when I first decided that I was going to Comic-Con, I was like, I am just going to write off Hall H. I'm just going to not even try.
Yeah.
But then before that,
lines, you said those people were in line on what you said, Monday, Tuesday.
I will get to that.
Okay.
Because for Saturday they were
right,
and Saturday is when they had the big Marvel.
So
panel.
they paid the money. They flew out there, drove out there, did whatever they did, and camped out there the first day and missed everything just to go to that Hall H Marvel panel.
Well, a lot of these people have a system. They work in a team, and as long as like one or two people stay in line,
they just rotate.
They rotate, exactly, so they can enjoy the con, but come back in line to take a line shift, which I used to do that back in the day for Star Wars. Not anymore. But so yeah, I swore off Hall H. I was like, yeah, I don't really care about anything. I want to experience maybe the smaller panels and stuff from the exhibit floor. But then I heard they had, the Lucas Museum panel, which I know it probably wasn't going to happen. But last year they had that panel and George Lucas showed up, and I didn't think it was going to happen this year, but I still wanted to catch it. Then the Lanterns panel, those two, which were on separate days, Lucasfilm was on Thursday. Lucas Museum was on Thursday, and then Lanterns was on Friday. So I thought, hey, let's see how hard it is to get into Hall H. Well, it turns out you do have to devote some time to it. I think I stayed in line. The longest I stayed in line was maybe 3.5, 4 hours on Friday to get in to see lanterns.
Okay.
But then Joel was like, hey, I want to see Spaceballs. He's a big Spaceballs fan, as I'm sure most of us are.
Yeah.
And so I went, when I got into Hall H on Friday, I think we started with the Rings of Power panel, and I just sat through all the panels till we got to lanterns, sat through the panels, and then that day ended with Spaceballs, which was honestly, I love the lanterns panel. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about DC content, but that Spaceballs panel was amazing. I'm glad that I decided to take part in that, because if I would have missed that, I would have had FOMO.
That was a huge payoff, though, especially with the big veiling of the 11 phases or whatever.
Yes, taking a page from Marvel and Star Wars and whatnot.
It was so good.
It was amazing. So I'm, thank you, Joel, for convincing me to attend this panel, and thanks to everyone who joined us there. We go back to I was staying in that room because they don't clear you out. So you can get in the morning.
That's interesting. So it's not like Celebration where once the panel's over, you got to get out, and then everybody gets back into the lottery system again.
Yeah, they don't clear you out. You can stay there all day if you want to.
Okay, so I think that makes more, well, I still wouldn't do it, but I get why they invest the amount of time that they do to spend waiting to get in, because once you're in, unless, you got to you get kicked out for having a camera or whatever.
Right. So, and see, here's the thing is some panels didn't care about cameras, but some did. And then there's some like Spaceballs, which didn't want you to record the trailers or the intro. They had a special intro.
Oh, cool.
But you can record like when the cast is talking and when they're doing the panel and whatnot, which was moderated by Kevin Smith of all people. And he did a great job. He did. Again, best panel of the weekend for me anyway. And I'm so glad that Joel convinced us to go to that panel. But what I want to say is that, as the day went on, I was able to, because once I got in, people that were in line like overnight or really, really early in the morning, they got up front immediately. But I got in later in the early afternoon, and early afternoon. And of course, I was stuck all the way at the back. But as panels cleared, people that actually came for that content, they left. So we were able to migrate closer and closer to the front.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then I thought we had the best seats we were going to get. We were in the front area, and, we were, there, we weren't, close front row, second row, but we were still in that front area. Well, Haley was able to find seats up at the front for mainly almost all of us. So we were at that Spaceballs panel in the third row. It was amazing. Yes, it was awesome. So shout out to her for doing that. It was awesome that she was able to secure those seats. So yeah, thank you, Haley, for doing that for us. But yeah, it was awesome. And then of course Saturday was the last day of it, and I was like, no, people were in line for over 24 hours for that Marvel panel. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm going to come out of this with a Hall H win, not an L. So I just like, you know what? Right. I'm not even going to try. But I was absolutely satisfied with what I got out of Hall H. And next year, I'm not even going to worry about it. If there's something that I want to do in Hall H or something that I want to see, I'm just going to go for it. And my goal is just to try to get in Hall H. That was ultimately my goal. If I was able to get in to Hall H, I would be happy. But because of the experience that people, had, and, they pass it on down to me, not to mention some crafty people, we were able to sneak up all the way almost to the front row. So it was awesome.
That's great.
I really enjoyed it. So
Green Day was there. What was going on here?
Okay. So that is not Green Day. That is Billy Joe Armstrong's second band.
Oh, he's got a second band. Okay.
He has a second band called the Cover Ups, and that's what they do. They play covers. and they played covers. That was taken at the Fandom Party, which is one of the most popular after parties that Comic-Con has.
Yeah.
And we actually, that's me and my guy Dave Lozano, Star Wars Stuff's podcast. We didn't have tickets, but we just kind of meandered in and no one cared.
Right. Yeah.
So here's
Social
the thing.
engineering.
It wasn't even social engineering. It was just the perfect storm and perfect timing.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: is like, if anyone who's listening or watching goes to Comic-Con one day and they miss out on a party or a panel or an offsite event, show up, because there is always a 50-50 chance that you could just meander on in, slide on in there and get to experience it. And that's what we did with that Fandom Party, because it was real exclusive. And David and I were able to get in there, and we had a great time. A great time.
Well, it sounds like you filled your proverbial bottle, and took the win on Hall H, which is good, because I've heard a lot of horror stories of people trying to get into that infamous hall to get into those shows. So with the time that we got left, why don't we kind of go, let's run through some of the stuff that was announced. And, you talked about the Lucasfilm Museum, I know you've got the shirt on right now, right? You mentioned that. Yeah. So they were selling merch apparently there for the museum, but what was that like? I mean, they didn't have George Lucas there, right? But they did, I guess the biggest announcement might have been that Detours, a curated amount of Detours episodes, was going to be released at the museum. And Detours, for anybody that doesn't know, was put out like in 2012. It was created. It was kind of like this farce parody of Star Wars made by Lucasfilm. Seth Green was behind it. It was all set to release, and then Disney came in and made the purchase, and so it got put on hold. And then they said it was going to go on hold indefinitely. They weren't going to release it for now, quote. Here we are 13 years later. No one thought it was going to be ever. I never thought it'd come out, quite honestly. If you're interested, I think they still have like the first 10 episodes out on YouTube, and you can watch them. They've been out there since like 2015, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. But the fact that they're going to be showing a select amount of those episodes there is really cool, because I actually did find it funny. And it's got some really, it's got like D. Bradley Baker, Seth Green does some voices. You've got
Daniel Faison,
who later on would go on to do Resistance, right? He came back in that.
Right.
Joe McHale, Anthony Daniels, Billy D. Williams. You got Seth MacFarlane doing the Emperor. This is where it all started, right? Or at least it was a carryover from Robot Chicken, but he did the same thing. He did the voice for the Emperor. So it's actually really good. And it's very, like, I don't want to oversell this or overhype it, but there are some deep cut comedy in there that you have to be a hardcore Star Wars fan to really get what they're saying. It's not, they've got surface level stuff, but they've got some really deep stuff, which is where I really kind of appreciated what they were doing. So I love the fact that they're going to have those in there. I'd love to see them at some point release the entire series. I think we're at a point now where I think it makes sense, but that seemed like the biggest thing that came out of the Lucasfilm panel. I think that's probably fair, given that, it doesn't open until next year, and they're still, setting things up and doing all that.
Opens in September.
Oh, September. My bad. We're already 2026. So it's got two months away from opening at this point. So so that was really great. We got to get some more information on that. Let's talk quickly about the Lucasfilm publishing panel, and this is where I think they usually have quite a few things that get released and announced during this panel. I think for me, this had to be the biggest one. This is Twin Crossroads. It's by Beth Revis. Beth Revis did Rebel Rising, Princess and the Scoundrel. After, and I posted this, but after Legacy, which I pitched promoted at the very top of the show, after Legacy, it makes sense that Beth Revis would be the one behind this tale, and I have all the confidence that she's going to knock this out of the park. But this is essentially going to be what that training was between Luke and Leia, and everything from how does Leia find her lightsaber crystal, her kyber crystal. Luke is going to have the compass that came out of the Star Wars Battlefront 2 game, infamous compass. If you played the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's broken. I'm not sure how it breaks, but he's throughout this book, he's trying to get that fixed. But it's really going to be about her training, and we know some bits and pieces. I don't want to spoil anything, because in Legacy they do get into some of that training and what that was like, at least from Leia's perspective. But it's really cool that both Madeline Rue and Beth Revis worked closely together so that these stories would combine and feel like one cohesive piece. So I'm super stoked about this book. I cannot wait to read it. I think for this one, it's coming out. When was this? I'm trying to think of the date now. Just says 2026. I forgot to write that down, but
I want to throw something in here.
Yeah.
So first of all, I wasn't able to attend this panel, but this book had a lot of buzz on the exhibit floor. A lot of folks are talking about this book. They're excited about it for the reasons that you just explained, Albert, because now we're going to get some insight to how Leia got her saber and the training. But what I want to say is that I also heard that I'm happy it's about Luke and Leia because I saw something out on the internet that it was going to be about the Hutt twins.
That was me. I was a joke.
That was you.
Yeah.
That was you who did that. So you know what? I should say no, it was you. This was all you.
You put it on me. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on you. You have a reach out there, and your creation was discussed on the Comic-Con exhibit floor.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Probably not in the best way, but I'll take notoriety.
Well,
there's no such thing as bad press, right?
Right. They were saying, oh yeah, and before I could, they made us keep moving. The traffic had to keep. We couldn't if we stood in one place for longer than a second. They're like, keep moving.
Right.
I tried to turn around to see if I could see who said that and be like, hey, I know the guy who did that, but I was just trying to shuffle along so that I wouldn't get yelled at, and I couldn't find the guy.
Yeah.
But I did hear it, around. As we were moving through the hustle and bustle of the exhibit floor, that he's like, I'm glad it's not about the Hutt twins because I saw something on the internet and I was like, I know who did that.
That was me. I started that horrible rumor, and that was just a joke. I tagged it as a joke on Instagram, but then I realized when I shared it to some of the other social media platforms, the tag came off, and so it took off, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, and maybe I did. But so this is so here's one of the other things that I'm pretty excited about. So the novelizations for the original trilogy are all going to be making their way to audiobooks for the first time. And this is going to be narrated by Mark Thompson. If you listen to audiobooks, you know who Mark Thompson is. He is the most prolific recorder, voice actor for Star Wars, and can do just about everybody's voice, including Chewbacca, which is probably his weakest, but he still can do the roars and that whole thing. So this is really exciting to know that we're going to get all three of these. They've got these nice looking covers on here with updated art. I'm pretty stoked about that, quite honestly. And so that's going to be out on February 2nd, I believe, 2027. So you can pick up those. They announced this Star Wars Celebration 50 years. This is a DK book. So think about this as more like a reference book, a timeline of sorts. That's how I'm picturing it. There weren't a lot of details, but it'll be a very small condensed version of like the archives type books that that are out there that run, $200-300. This one looks freaking amazing. So this is by Anthony Bresnikan. He used to be on, what was he part of? Entertainment Weekly, I believe, before he moved on from EW. But he was kind of like the main Star Wars beat person for Entertainment Weekly for a number of years. He's had exclusives. He's done all kinds of interviews at the celebrations and that sort of thing. Anyways, he's got a book coming out called Star Wars Icons Vader. This book is massive. I've got the pictures up here of some of the inside artwork. It's all about Darth Vader, of course. I think this thing runs about $225 just for the book itself. It comes out in a couple months here in October 20th, 2026. So so we're a couple more months here. But it is a massive book. It's by Inside Editions. It looks freaking amazing. And it's not just a book. I mean, this is kind of one of those, coffee table pieces or something that you set in the background for people to see, because it is really stunning. If you get a chance, take a look at that.
Yeah, that was the other piece that had a lot of buzz on the exhibit floor was the Icons Vader.
Yeah,
and how it looked and how big it is and how expensive it's going to be.
Right.
But it was, people were still talking about that a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, I may pick it up, quite honestly, just because I think I got to have it. They've got a lot of comics in here. Eyes Like Stars just came out. That's the romance novel, their first Star Wars romance novel. And then this one this one got me excited personally. This is indie. They just announced it as part of the Lucasfilm publishing panel that they're going to have a brand new indie comic series. I think it's 5 issues that's coming out here. It's called Indiana Jones and the Sword of Pandemonium. This takes place immediately after the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is pretty exciting to see. So, again, depending on where your tastes are, this may or may not be really big news for you, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good panel for them. Moving on to Star Wars stuff, we did get some more information on the Zero Company game that's coming out. This one looks great, and mostly the panel was really about the story. So you play a character named Hawk. He's a disgraced former Republic officer who's left the Republic and has now formed Zero Company, an independent outfit that specializes in covert investigations and tactical operations. Hawks and his team are hired to go against the Infinite Coil. This is a separatist-aligned paramilitary cult that's intent on spreading a deadly shadow plague across the galaxy. So this takes place during the Clone Wars era. You've got this ragtag group of misfits, right? Think about it in that sense. And it's a turn-based game. So it's a turn-based game where you're controlling each one of these people, and they've got different abilities. They've got different weapons and armor that you can equip them with. You go on these different missions, but yeah, you're kind of quarterbacking this. So think about it that. So if you played XCOM or one of those types of games, it's similar to that. But I think this one's got a lot going for it, just from the pure story perspective of it all, right? It's embedded in Star Wars. It is canon. And a lot of the characters are very, very interesting. Like, they come from very diverse backgrounds, which is really nice to see. So we'll see how they all kind of interplay with one another. You can build droids and everything else, but it doesn't seem very shallow. It seems like a very deep, multi-dimensional type game. And if this is in your genre, you're going to love it, I think. If it's not, this may be an opportunity for you to kind of just dip your toe into turn-based games and see what, whether they're for you. I think you were saying that too. Like, this is not something you would normally pick up, but it certainly has piqued your interest.
Absolutely. We've seen some of the gameplay, and I understand what turn-based gaming is, but I just hadn't had an interest on it. But the characters of this game is what's drawing me to it. So I think this is something I'm gonna pick up when it's released.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a ton of people. D. Bradley Baker's in here doing some voice acting. Matt Lantner's come back for Anakin Skywalker. Spoiler alert. I mean, they did the trailer about a month ago, I think. At the very end of the trailer, it looks like you are going to be able to control Anakin Skywalker. He does get called in at some point. So nice to see that they've got Matt in here doing some voices as well. But yeah, I mean, there's some pretty, stud voice actors and actresses up in this thing. So I'm excited, man. I can't wait for this game to come out, quite honestly. So August 27th. So that'll be launching here in just under a month. So take a look at that if you are so interested. Let's talk quickly about the Hasbro panel. I know this is, they had so many figures, everything from like you can see the Anakin, the vintage. They've got Kenobi right there, Padme. You've got the B1, B2 battle droids. They had some Darth Maul stuff you can see there. I mean, they just had a lot of figures. There's Embo, which is really nice to see. Of course, there's your boy Rada the Hutt. Yep.
All jacked up. Yep.
So that's cool that they got him. A lot of articulation in that, believe it or not. They got some more stuff here from the Mandalorian and Grogu. I thought you'd be more excited about this one right here. Baylan Skoll. Yeah, I know. Everyone says that is my cosplay. If I'm going to do a Star Wars cosplay, it has to be Baylan Skoll. Look at this. This is the X-Wing, like the original X-Wing. They're bringing it back as a vintage, and even the proportions look to scale.
Yeah, a couple years ago they released like a to scale one, and I think this is a more detailed version of that.
Yeah. There's the Black Series thermal detonator. That's cool. The detail looks great on it, quite honestly.
Right. So, and let's see if we get to if they have the big Black Series reveal that everyone was talking about.
I don't know if they have it on here. This is Commander Jesse's helmet here. You've got the what's his name?
Enoch,
yeah, Captain Enoch. There's his helmet. I wasn't a big fan of the style, but I get it. I understand the significance and the design inspiration from it. ATRT, got a snowtrooper there. Yeah, I don't see anything. What was the big reveal for you?
The new packaging for Black Series, and the first one is going to be Queen Padme Amidala, the one where she has the lights at the bottom of her dress.
Oh, the dress.
Yeah, it's a
Whoa.
new sculpt, and they're redoing the packaging. It's essentially a relaunch of the Black Series, and that
Yeah.
was uh, the big announcement there.
Yep. And I didn't see what exclusives they had for Comic-Con, but they always do that. So
When it comes to Hasbro, Mattel, those toy companies, they have so many. It was like, Hasbro Mattel had like, Masters of the Universe, K-pop Demon Hunters, G.I. Joe, they had so many. It was just too hard to keep up.
Oh, I bet. So this was announced. I'm actually really excited about this. So this is something called Star Wars: The Experience, and this is going to be running from different museums over the course of the next 5 years. They're going to kick this off at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, opening up on February 13th, 2027. So this is next year. And that's going to run for about 6-7 months before they move to the next city. Hopefully it'll be Austin, but probably not. Probably Chicago, usually where they go next. But this looks really interesting. So they've got over 70 artifacts, including Maul's lightsaber. These are actual props, right? These aren't like replicas or anything like that. This is the actual deal, right? This is a museum exhibit. They've got Maul's lightsaber, Vader's armor. They've got an actual Grogu that was used probably in The Mandalorian, I would assume. They've got a life-size R2-D2 C-3PO. Again, real live C-3PO R2-D2s that were used in the movies. They've got a full-size speeder bike, a ton of Andor stuff. They also have like iconic toys, like 30 rare prototypes, development models, tool samples. I mean, you name it. It's 18,000 square feet that they're going to have for this exhibit, which is quite a bit. They did release the key art for it. This is it right here. Love it. Looks very synthwave.
Looks amazing.
It looks amazing. Yep. So I'm sure I'm going to grab some merch whenever this comes out. And the way they've done this is they structured it. You go, and rather than just kind of having an open exhibit, if you've ever been to the museum exhibits, you kind of get shuffled around, into little kind of like corridors and different sections. They've actually created different rooms. So they've got a Queen Amidala's throne room, which they've got a mock-up here. They've got some concept art of what's going to look like here. Then they also have like a wireframe worlds, which you can see here. So this looks like maybe ships or designs or something. But they've got them all kind of into different types of groups and categories. And then they're going to have this carbon freeze capture room. And this will have one of the actual Han Solo and Carbonites that was used props for the movie that you can have a photo opportunity with, so you can get your picture right in front of it. So all this looks absolutely fantastic. The tickets go on sale this November, but again, the exhibit doesn't open up to February, and they've not announced what cities this is going to go to afterwards. But again, it's 5 years, so I'm sure they'll release the calendar at some point. When they do, go out there, find out where the closest place is going to be for you, and go. Chris, we need to go to this, man.
Absolutely.
It has to happen.
I don't know if you remember, I think it was in 2000, they had a similar type of exhibit that traveled around, and it was actually at one of the museums in Houston. It had a Texas stop. I don't remember what the name of the exhibit was called, but it was a Star Wars exhibit where it had the same thing, props and whatnot. This is actually going to be an interesting experience because I learned in May when I was over at Lucasfilm that everything before when it comes to artifacts and props in the Star Wars universe, everything before the sale to Disney, George took. That belongs to him. So like when we toured Lucasfilm, there was hardly anything having to deal with the prequels, the Clone Wars initially, and the original trilogy, because he owns all that stuff. He kept it all. And this exhibit is going to have props and whatnot from not just the OT and the PT, but the sequel trilogy and the TV show. So it's kind of like a collaboration between Disney and George Lucas to put this on. So I find that very interesting. So it's definitely something I want to check out. But what was going on, what the word on the floor is that, it's going to only be in Philadelphia for so long, but could be anywhere in North America.
Yeah.
So it could be in Canada. It could be in Mexico.
Yeah.
So we don't, I know we're like, hey, let's have it come to Texas, Dallas, Houston, whatever. It could miss Texas entirely. I'm sure California will have a stop because California always gets something, but it could be Toronto, it could be Mexico City or Monterrey, it could be
Oh,
anywhere.
darn. We got to go to Mexico City.
Say,
or we
oh
gotta
darn,
go
yeah,
to,
to go see a Star Wars exhibit. But yeah, so just keep that in mind that it's going to tour North America, not just the United States.
Yeah, good point. Yep. All right. Well, so that's exciting. And again, tickets go on sale here very shortly. So good luck to anybody who's doing that. We talked about Spaceballs already. I had pulled this up. I think the biggest thing, I mean, the fact that we've got, that's pretty much all the Star Wars stuff. We're going to get into kind of everything else at this point. But I mean, honestly, Rick Moranis coming out of retirement after like 30 years, that guy is like someone, who you and I grew up with his movies,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, he was everything from Ghostbusters and all the other Canadian stuff that he did before that. But the fact that he's coming out, and then Spaceballs, of course, the fact that he's coming out of retirement just for this movie, and he had this whole thing where they were interviewing and he was talking about his experience and just how surreal it was that suddenly now he was the older person and looking at these young 20 somethings just like he was at the time when Spaceballs came out, and that now they were there. That was all great. I love the fact that they talked about John Candy kind of being at the heart of all of this, and that Josh Gad was going to be playing a Mog, not Barf or anything else. Did they clarify on that? They just said he was going to play another Mog.
He's going to play another Mog, but they didn't say if he was going to be related to Barf or nothing. It just said another Mog.
Yeah.
I mean, we do know that Lewis Pullman is going to be playing Lone Star's son, and I think they called Starburst. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the only like relative confirmation that we got. Everything else is still up in the air, and I actually really like, we do know that Yogurt's coming back, and they did hint to something around Pizza the Hut. So
I saw that. Something, there was a slice of pizza, and it was supposed to be like his kid or an offspring or something. I don't know.
I'm telling you, they are really, and they're not dragging. They're not, I mean, it's a parody. They're not
sure.
they don't have ill will to the sequels, but man, they're really dragging The Force Awakens. In the footage that we saw, they are really dragging The Force Awakens, which is fine. I would love that. So
the only thing I've seen from the trailer, only thing I've heard, I've actually not seen it. I've read there is a line where Dark Helmet says, somehow I've returned.
Yes, somehow I've returned.
I mean, they're like literally using lifts, and that's exactly what they did with the first Spaceballs. I mean, they kind of lifted some of those lines and changed them and lampooned them and that sort of thing. But I did find this just on the Pizza the Hut. If you look here in Phase 5, which I think is like, I don't know, 2042 or whatever, it says a Spaceball story. Pizza the Hut, Cheesy Does It was the name of the title that they gave for that movie. Some of these were hilarious. And there was at one point, I think it was Josh Gad who says that he said, we've got enough content until 2148 in terms of the number of sequels that they can do.
I loved how they presented this. So what they did, they did this for a few panels, but this is the only one. No, I saw two. It was Ring of Power they did this for, and for Spaceballs. They actually had an LCD screen that, they had the, the Comic-Con backdrop and then the big screen at the top where they showed the cast, but they also had a LCD screen that went around the perimeter of the hall.
Yeah, because Marvel uses that to do this. They're
right. Marvel did that too. Absolutely. And they did that to show all this timeline, and it was like morphine into this and that all. And so it was really, really hard to follow. Of course, they meant to do that.
There was a lot of people captured the video, and to your point, the way that was comedic because they showed you one and you thought, okay, that's funny. 3 phases, and they're like, oh wait, there's more. And then they kept going and going and going. And by the time you got to it, there was 11 phases, and I've got some of that, some of it here in a minute. But I do want to call out this in phase 9, whenever that is. They had Spaceballs, the Snyder Cut, and I was dying when I read that. I know one of our supporters, Mara Jade, she messaged me on that too. She said that was a big thing that she liked about it. But yeah, you keep going, and then it gives you like, and so it goes, and then it just has like random names: Spaceballs, Tokyo Drift, Spaceballs Endgame, on and on. And then this was my best. This is the one I think I like the most because it speaks to Star Wars in such a special and unique way. But it says required viewing order of the movies, of the phases. And then it has an asterisk. When you look at the bottom, you can't see it on the screen right now, but the asterisk says not required, but we will judge you. And if that doesn't just encapsulate like some of the horrible fandom that we have, where, you know, you watch it out of order, you're, you're completely blacklisted or whatever. I mean, it's just, that's perfect. I mean, they just nailed it on every account here. So
they knocked it out of the park with this panel. Like I said, I'm so happy Joel convinced me to attend this. And it's definitely, when it comes to content at SDCC, it's definitely the highlight of that. Of my SDCC this past year.
I mean, and then just quickly on the Marvel stuff. I mean, I don't know. This feels like a juggernaut. They're already, as of this recording, Spider-Man Brand New Day is out. They're projecting like 800 million, I think, in the opening weekend, which would put it just under Endgame in terms of number of ticket sales. I mean, there's for all the arguments and all the chatter about Marvel having lost its momentum and superhero movies being dead and just it's not true. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. If you make a good movie that's compelling and intriguing that people want to see, they're going to come see it. Doesn't matter how many times you do it, right? We know that to be the case. But so yeah, I mean, everything was kind of, the backdrop was of course Doomsday. Everybody's excited about that. I got to see some of the videos of Robert Downey Jr. doing his voice for Doom, which I thought was great. Sounds like he's been working on that or practicing it. That was awesome. They also announced, Ghost Rider, which that was kind of came out of nowhere. But Ryan Gosling starring as Ghost Rider, which I think is great. And not only that, but I think he's being paired up with Sean Levy to do this. So they just came off of they're just coming out of Starfighter. Yeah. So they're just getting the band back together and going out and doing Ghost Rider. And I know a lot of people have said, I don't know about Ryan Gosling. That feels like a weird choice. I will say this, and I think we've talked about this on the show, if I'm not mistaken, when we were talking about Starfighter. Ryan Gosling is somebody who every time I see him surprises me, and I should no longer be surprised. So I have no doubt that he's going to do a great job in this role. I know Johnny Blaze. I know Ghost Rider. I can see where people are like, that doesn't make sense, or maybe that feels a little off. But man, if there's anybody that can do it, that guy has already proven that he can. So I'm all in on the Sean Levy Ghost Rider Marvel movie. Doesn't come out to 2028. At least that's when they're projecting it. But I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, no, I am too. I agree with you about Ryan Gosling. He is very underrated as an actor. Yeah, he has had some not too impressive roles, but where he won me for good was Project Hail Mary. I think he was amazing in Project Hail Mary. So I have the utmost faith in Starfighter, and I have the utmost faith in Ghost Rider when this comes out. So I think they're going to do a great job.
Let's see. Paisley said Ryan Gosling is money, baby. Money.
Yeah.
That's what she says. And then
show me the money.
Dale said Ryan Gosling is being directed by Sean Levy again. So yeah, that's a good thing. I think it's going to be a good thing. Well, we'll see. Maybe Starfighter sucks, but I don't think it's going to happen. No. The other big one for Marvel was, of course, Black Panther 3. This is another surprise. And even still more of a bigger surprise was the fact that they've cast David Johnson, who was freaking amazing in the Alien movie, more recent Alien movie. Which I don't know if you've had a chance to watch that one or you've seen it. What's that?
Is it Prometheus?
No.
I haven't seen it. No.
No, it's not Prometheus. This is I'm drawing a blank on the name now. I saw it in the theater. It came out, I think, early last year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was a great movie. He played. Well, I guess I could spoil the movie now. He plays an android, basically, a replicant, if you want to believe that world is mixed with Blade Runner, but that's a whole other story. But he plays like a droid, essentially, right? And he does a great job in that. But what's interesting is that he is, of course, older, especially when we see at the end of Black Panther 2, where T'Challa Jr., or Toussaint, as his name is, he's, like, I don't know, he can't be more than like 5 years old at the end of that movie. And so here we go, we're jumping ahead. So I don't know if there's something that's going to happen in that time frame, with how they age, and maybe this all speaks to how they're going to reboot everybody and bring all these new people in to kind of replace the existing characters. But nonetheless, it's Ryan Coogler. It's got Ryan Coogler. Everybody's coming back to reprise their roles, and it's Black Panther, which has like been an absolute standout. Pair of movies so far. When you look at all the movies that have been released, that thing is just gold, man. So I'm super thrilled. And Just a quick shout out to my 16-year-old son who just turned 16. This is his Marvel movie, so he's super stoked about Black Panther 3. But
Awesome.
yeah, that's going to be good, man. Okay, and then the last thing we had was just kind of the DC stuff, and we talked about Lanterns. Dude, Lanterns is like the one thing I was more excited about Lanterns, I think, than of course Supergirl, which I was excited about Supergirl. But Lanterns, especially after that trailer, which is crazy because I know a lot of people didn't like the Lanterns first trailer because they felt, like you said, it wasn't enough space. I thought it was amazing. Like, I'm all down for it, especially since, we were talking before we came on the air. This is supposed to be the beginning of something. So I'm okay with exposition. I'm okay with buildup. I'm okay with us not jumping directly into space and dealing with Sinestro and, all the cosmic stuff that exists. But it sounds like we are going to get that as well. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And it's going to be like a buddy cop movie. They compared it to like True Detective or was it No Country for Old Men, mixed with space and power rings. I mean, it was amazing. The buzz around this show was just off the charts. Everyone and their mother was trying to get into that Lanterns training offsite event.
What was that, by the way? What is it? What did you do in that?
So you went in and it was kind of like a mock. A lantern takes you through a mock training session, and at the end, if you survive, you earn your Green Lantern ring.
Oh,
and that's what it was, just like a fun thing to do. And like I said, David, he was able to get in to do it. He has a ring. I'm jealous. I wanted to do it, but I couldn't. I wasn't able to secure a ticket. They were free. The tickets were free, but you had to, go to the website and do the whole queue thing. And I never got it. But he was able to get in, I think on standby. I just couldn't devote the time to do it, but he got his ring and he said it was an amazing experience. So I'm happy he got to do it. But back to the show. Yeah, there's just a huge buzz about this. Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre and, there are other actors there. Nathan Fillion showed up.
Guy Gardner.
He's gonna have a cameo in this. And they actually played a clip of the beginning of that cameo. And what I was telling Ted and David, that it was like the way that it sounded, it was really just like 10 seconds, but the way that it sounded is like Guy and John have some history. And I'm curious to see what that is.
Yeah. And so I know I don't want to make this into a DC show, but like my list of like what is really good DC is kind of I've got a short list. Like I'm not saying that I just don't watch a lot of it, I guess is what I'm saying. But what I have seen, one of the things that always stands out for me, and this is like in terms of like best programming, animated shows, is Justice League. Like,
yes,
it is so good. And it comes across as a kid show. The animation looks a little bit, more kid-like. But man, it really is deep, and there's some great storytelling. And it was from that series that I really came to appreciate Jon Stewart and having Aaron Pierre play him, and then having, of course, Hal Jordan, which is he's got so much history as well. Having those two guys together and having these actors play them is very, very exciting. So this is like I cannot tell you how much I am excited to see this Lantern show. So I think that James Gunn has kind of he's had some really good moments so far. He's had some kind of things where he stumbled, but his heart's in the right place, and I think in long term, I think he's going to be good for DC. And this is
I do too. And so one of the big pieces of news that came through at Comic-Con was that the merger between Warner Brothers and Paramount was on pause, and that really bodes well for the DCU and James Gunn for him to actually have an opportunity to get his vision out on screen before some suit from Paramount or whatever that company would have been called if they did merge came and put the kibosh on it. So
yeah,
I'm happy that that's on pause, not just for that reason. There are other reasons that I'm happy it's not really happening right now. But really, I am happy for James Gunn. He's going to be able to move forward, unaffected and bring his vision of the DC universe to screen. And I'm looking forward to it.
And then I guess the last one, let me pull this one up. This is the Clayface.
Yeah.
which looks creepy, man. Like
It does.
and I think I've heard a lot of people said that what they've seen is like unsettling in a good
Yes.
way, right? Because it
Mhm.
should be, right, given what happens to him. But did you get a chance to see anything here related to Clayface?
I did see the trailer, and yes, it is. We didn't see too much in the trailer. There were other clips that I didn't get to see, but this is probably going to be something that's more on the horror side of the
Mhm.
genre, and I wouldn't be surprised if this got rated R.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
Which, you know, James Gunn is not shy about. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Creature
Yeah.
Commandos. I
Right. Right.
mean, yeah,
Oh,
that's
which
a
was great. I actually
yeah.
really enjoyed Creature
Yeah,
Commandos.
I loved it too. So he's not scared to bring stuff that's more risque into a comic book universe per se, if it fits.
Sure.
You know, and that's the thing is that Clayface was always one of Batman's more tragic villains. He had a lot of difficulties, you know, which led him to turn to the wrong people that turned him into this. So he is a tragic figure, and I'm excited for it, even though I'm not a big fan of the horror genre. Which I'm going to say another thing real quick about the horror genre. They had the director of Warriors, and there was another movie. Barbarian. He directs horror type films. He is rebooting the Resident Evil movie series,
Oh
and it's
Lord.
supposed to be similar to the video game. And what I saw, the clips that I saw, and just FYI,
Yeah.
it was during the panel where at the end Johnny Depp showed up as Scrooge
Oh,
or Ebenezer. So
Ebenezer Scrooge, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was that panel.
Yeah.
But they showed about 10 minutes worth of clips of that movie, and it looks great. And I don't like horror movies at all.
Mm.
I'm a scaredy cat. But I'm gonna see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So they've got some exciting stuff coming. I mean, you know, they've got a number of other projects still out there. I saw there was some Street Fighter stuff going on. What was going on with that? Was that just playing in the background, or?
So we went to a Ready Player One party,
Oh,
and they had Street Fighter montages playing in the background.
okay. Was
Yeah.
Ernie Klein there?
Ernie Klein was not there,
Oh, okay.
but Ernie Klein will be at Rebel Scum Con in about
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, I saw that. I didn't know if you guys saw like a trailer or some special scenes or anything from the movie that's coming out.
I think a new trailer did drop, but it didn't have a huge presence at Comic-Con.
I think they have they announced they've shown Jason Momoa now as Blanca.
Right.
So, yeah. If you know if you know, you know, I guess.
If you know, you know.
Well, so yeah, I mean, overall, like this was. I'm glad you got a chance to go. Quite honestly, it sounds like you had a great time. You were there with some really great friends of yours in the show, and you know, maybe it's something. You know, I would like to. I wish Star Wars would do more, but I understand that they don't because they save it for Celebration, the D23 stuff. But I'm pretty happy with the stuff that they did show. I'm pretty happy with the Lucasfilm publishing panel. Excited about Beth Revis coming back and writing another Star Wars book. But yeah, I mean, I guess any final thoughts on, you know, what your experience was like, and are you going to go to the next one?
So I had an amazing time. And a lot of it I attribute, like you just said, because I was there with some great people, some great friends. And I think that's what made it worth my while. But yeah, I want to do it again.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now you got the bug. You're going to be back, dude. You're going to be one.
I'm going to be that guy now.
You're going to be that guy. Eventually you'll be cosplaying. So I don't know, maybe you got Bale and Skull coming up in the future.
Maybe not for Celebration. We'll see.
Spoiler alert. You've heard it.
Spoiler alert. Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you hadn't had a chance, please like, subscribe, do all the things. We'd appreciate that. And also, if you could, you know, how about some shout outs to the folks that joined us on the live stream tonight?
Yeah, Dale E. Skywalker, One Up versus CPU, and my girl Paisley. Thank you so much for joining us and throwing some comments our way. Also on Instagram, there was one person who, and I lost who she was.
Oh, there's a couple people. They got Newell April that joined.
Yes.
Mara J joined. Mara Jader, we were talking about her. And Panico. He's Mariana. I know you know her.
I know Mariana.
Morgan Ron 2519, A Lightyear, and
that's Alan.
Yep. eBay Minerals 8, AIT 114. That Andrew Ward joined. I'm not good at this. And then Corey 198668, not to be confused with Corey 198667, joined as well at the very end. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the live stream, both here on YouTube and on Instagram. We'll be doing more of these on Instagram going forward. So, happy to do that. All right. We're going to end it there. Don't forget, check out the spoiler-free review that I've got right now on Legacy by Madeline Rue. It's a great book. Go pick it up. It's out available now, both an audiobook, ebook, and physical copy. And we'll have a Patreon show coming up here this weekend, or very soon here, actually, in the next couple of days. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys on that. And if nothing else, on behalf of myself and Chris, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you guys here on the next episode.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.